Hi, and welcome everyone. We are here today to speak about someone else's transformation story. Things that I love and listen to people speak about their own transformation. And we have today a special guest. Her name is Ann Leber, and she's going to be speaking to us about her own transformation using homeopathy and what she has added to this as well. So, Ann, welcome, and please introduce yourself to our co host and the guests, and just let us know your own story and what about this transformation really made such a big difference in your life.
Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me share. This is so important to me to be able to share what's worked and help other people to have the same access to information. Um, the beginning of my story is that I grew up in a pharmacy. My father owned one, and so we got lots of drugs. And as a kid, that somehow led to lots of ear infections and eczema and sleep problems. Um, and in my mid teens, that eventually became something like narcolepsy. Don't have a specific diagnosis, but a lot of falling asleep, sitting up, and it was very challenging to try and do school, to try and read anything. It was almost a disability. How do you function like that? Um, it got worse in college, the exhaustion, and at some point, I've developed food allergies, a whole lot of them. And it's interesting because I hit tipping, a turning point when I was only 20. My father was dying from cancer, and I saw a chiropractor, and he talked about living foods and proactive health, and it made all the sense in the world to me. Oddly, at age 20, that made sense to me. So I'd already started on a health path. I didn't really know a lot what that meant yet. But it wasn't enough. Like I think it prevented a lot of suffering, like that I was at least trying. But things kept happening, like developing these food allergies, and then I had eczema from the food allergies. And by the time I was midlife, like I had to critique. I couldn't just eat food. I had to know every ingredient because a speck of gluten would cause me to have eczema, and then if I had more gluten, it would turn into, who knows, fibromyalgia or something. This kind of pain that in my legs that I couldn't keep them still. I had to keep moving them. And I tried a lot of things. I think I tried everything. I went from diet and GAPS diet, which helped. And then I did a mercury detox, and that helped. And nutraceuticals and herbs and essential oils and genetics. And finally, when I found homeopathy, I felt like, wow, this really works. Um, so is that a good beginning
So,
of the story?
so you said when you found it, how did you discover it? And also, and could you explain what exactly homeopathy is to you? There's, of course, the standard version, but what exactly that means to you?
Thank you. Yeah. I I have a lot of kids, and kids tend to have problems. And as a mom, you either have to get good at solving health problems or have to get good at going to the doctor for them to solve the problems. And a lot of my a lot of my friends were doing a homeopathy class together, and that was the first time I really started learning, was through this gateway to homeopathy class. But before that, I just tried things here and there, and they surprisingly worked, and I didn't understand how they worked. And what homeopathy is an ultra diluted substance. It's so diluted that you can't see it under a microscope, but the memory of the substance is there. Or another word might be the energy or the DNA, or the instructions. And so this substance will cure the same set of symptoms that it will cause. And so an easy example that people can understand is onions. A red onion, Allium cepa, the Latin word, Allium cepa cures what an onion causes. And so if you cut an onion, everyone knows what happens. We get itchy, irritated eyes, and your nose runs like water. And when you're in that same onion type state, it gives your body a microdose, maybe more like a stimulus, maybe not even a dose, a micro stimulus of that onion memory. And your body, this is like the concept of a vaccine. Your body gets to mount a defense against the stimulus of the onion, and then it has a successful defense against the micro dose, and then it educates your body how to overcome in a much bigger way. Like if you're having a cat allergy, which is what happened in my family. Cat allergies often, or hay fever, often mimic these onion symptoms with the itching eyes and the nose, not stuffy, but the running like water nose. And so the onion remedy teaches your body, and that set of symptoms, every time you take the remedy when you need it, that set of symptoms gets reinforced how to deal with it. And it's kind of like an antivirus download. Every time you take a remedy that you need, it's getting that same set of instructions again and again. And one day, your body has really learned how to do it, and you don't even need the remedy anymore. And my husband had pretty bad cat allergies, and we talked him into a kitten, and the allergies started, and he kept taking the remedy. At first it was 3 times a day, and then it was eventually 3 times a week, and then 3 times a month, and then he just didn't need it anymore. His body had fully learned. And by that time we had 6 cats, and they slept in our bed. And he was really, it's never come back. So this is the potential that homeopathy has to educate your body in a way that it permanently learns, and you don't need the remedy ever again.
So, as somebody who grew up pretty much living in a pharmacy with pharmaceutical products, was this an antithesis to what you grew up with, or was this just another version of it?
I'm not sure if it was, it is an antithesis in a way, but I feel somewhat connected to my father and grandfather. They were helping heal people in the best way that they knew how. And pre-internet, we just didn't have access to the same information. And I carry so many remedies in my purse. I feel like a little walking pharmacy, because I want to be prepared not only for things that would happen to me, but my daughter or my friends. And so I appreciate their spirit, and I've just found a new way to implement it.
So you said that you were the chiropractors. who talked a lot about living foods. Did you try that route?
I did. And I still love living foods and try to focus on lots of vegetables and fruit. Uh, I'm not in a vegan mindset right now, but I do think that heavy vegetables and fruit and plant food is optimum, at least for me.
And when you look at your back at your life and the way it was before and the way that it is now, what was the transformation point for you, Anne?
I think that finding homeopathy was huge because I finally found something that could literally heal, and it was not so hard. Like with the GAPS diet, like with certain diets, you just have to do everything perfect, and it's really hard. And I think that homeopathy is a lot easier. That like now I eat well because I want to, but I'm not living in fear of a speck of gluten, and I don't have any food allergies anymore. And I can't even believe that I can say that, because I had every food allergy at one point. It was gluten and dairy and protein powders and stevia and erythritol and chia seeds. And it seemed like it was just getting narrower and narrower. Um, and I did the extreme diet and it helped. And I did an extreme detox, and I think it definitely helped. But homeopathy is so much easier. And then I think the second transformation was developing a way of muscle testing to know what remedies I need that's observable and repeatable and data driven. And can I share that? Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So the the little gadget on the screen is called a hand dynamometer, and it's an off-the-shelf item. It's $20, and you squeeze it and it gives you a digital readout on how strong your grip is. So a lot of natural health professionals will use muscle testing, where you hold a vitamin or a remedy and you push against your arm or you pull your fingers. And I think that works when the remedy or the vitamin is really strong, like when your body really needs it. I find that you can tell you're stronger when you're holding it. And if you really don't need it, then you can tell that it's really weak. But there's a lot in the middle that's just clear as mud. And one day I was asking my husband to muscle test me, and he said, I just can't tell. You should just find something with a digital readout. And I started looking for it, and I found, like, oh, there's this thing. It already exists. And I bought it and started playing with it. And I could see that it was giving me good information that I couldn't tell. Like for instance, if I'd had that cat allergy and it matched the red onion remedy, I still don't know if I need a 6, a 30, a 200, a 1M, or a 10M, because there's all of these all different potencies within the homeopathy sphere. And the wrong one is either going to be it's going to be very slow and frustrating, or you might think it's not working because it's just too low. And if you shoot too high, you could have overuse symptoms. So getting it Goldilocks where it's just right is desirable. So I could pick up this remedy and test it in 4 different potencies and pick the one that's the highest potency where my body is still strong. And I'm finding that I get faster, way faster results for myself and for my clients, because I teach my clients how to do this. I tell them what remedies, I mail it to them, and then they muscle test in their own home. And I provide them feedback, helping them to understand how to interpret the data until they're confident. But I put all of the course free into my Facebook group, Precision Muscle Testing for Homeopathy and Beyond. And I put Beyond because it's not limited to homeopathy. I remember muscle testing my husband for his wedding ring. Poor guy, or poor me. Like, it just, like, every time he touched it, it made him weak. So he got the green light to stop wearing it. And then it made sense why he didn't want to wear it. It bothered him, but he couldn't put words to it. And I've muscle tested all my supplements using the same method. I found out that methylated B complex that I've been using for years, my body didn't like it. And so there's a lot you can do. And the day I muscle tested my coffee and it was strong, I was very happy. I didn't want to lose that.
So I want to actually come over to our co-host now, and I want to bring in Pete. Pete, have you ever tampered with homeopathy, and under what circumstances, and what was your own experience?
Yeah, I haven't had too much. The main ones is around pregnancy, and you can get a kit, and so we would use that. However, my partner at the time, it did feel quite regimented, so which could distract from actually just dropping in to the birth. And what I realized from learning Jinshin Jiu-Jitsu 18 years ago, it's another tool, I would say, that sort of sings the same praises, and it's so beautiful that we can find something for our path that really resonates with us. And to me, it's obviously meant to have come our way. So when you mentions about sort of the energetics and the frequency on a level, it's like a memory, the energy memory. So for me, it feels very much like a computer that's turned down. Our lives are so busy with too much stimulation, whatever it may be, so full of confusion. So it feels like it can bypass and give the instruction like into a computer. That's what's going on in my body, that's what's going on the inside. So, and then the body can obviously got the instructions to do what it needs to do. So around pregnancy was the main one we would use it, and echinacea comes to mind. So other than that, there were different tools or different practices I was, let's just say, led to in my journey. So but it seems amazing, it's beautiful. And the muscle testing, even with Jinshin, where we pulse test, it can be really it's an art, a real art. So in terms of the muscle testing as well, I think I was just saying to my partner, we need to get one of them, check one of them out, because it is so beautiful. Because what might be good for someone is not good for someone else, and different periods and different times in our life, different environments we may be in, so it might be good and maybe not in another country. So there's so many variables to kind of look at. So that's been my small journey with the homeopathic, and I have heard many people having amazing results from that as well. So yeah, it sounds beautiful. It's a beautiful story. Thank you ever so much for sharing that story. So let's just say, I would say to the viewers, it's so nice hearing people have found something, and then there's many different tools which we may talk about that people can try out. So it's just not one fix all. There's a few different modalities, protocols that we can experiment with. And for me, like Jinshin, it's not an overnight thing. You know, you got to keep doing the practice. For Jinshin, it's just like, imagine our circuits being severed, or frequency is just trickling through when it's supposed to be gushing through. So the work on our body really is like a restoring our body to remember its natural ways, how it can naturally regenerate, really. So yeah, beautiful story.
Can I comment?
Thank you. Yes, I was coming to you next. Hold on. Yes.
So it's interesting. Like when I started with homeopathy, I resonated well with 1M potency. So that's 1000. And so I just told everyone, just get a 1M and use a 1M of everything, because that's what worked for me. And as I've muscle tested lots and lots of people, I've discovered that was totally terrible advice, because everyone has a different preferred potency range. There are people that are sensitive to remedies, and they do better in the 6 range. And then there's people that really are not going to feel a 6, a 30, a 200, a 1000, and they do better with CM or 100,000. And like you can't just look at people and know that. Like they look fine, they look like people, and yet everyone is so different. And being able to customize the potency to the person makes the difference between it working and not working. And something else that I think is notable is that I majored in accounting, and a lot of people in the wellness or energy space come with intuition, and they're sensing people, and I'm not. I wish I had that superpower, but like my brain just works the way it works. And so while some people can sense or intuit or sway test to see what remedy they need, like there's this swath of people that can't. And so the digital form of readout will work for everyone, whether you have that, whether you're intuitive or whether you're not. And so it's a tool for everyone. And I hope that, I just want to invite you to join the group. It's free. The whole course is free. And if you want to go deeper, you can reach out, but you can get all the basics at no charge. I feel a strong mission to bring this to the world, because it's changed the way that I'm able to not only take care of myself, but my family, my friends, my clients, by giving that precision of not just being able to make an educated guess, and even a good educated guess, but to be able to confirm, yes, the body agrees. And if the body doesn't agree, then it was just a nice idea. So the testing, I find, is the key to having best outcomes.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Anne. I'm going to bring on our co-host, Phil. Phil, have you ever experienced anything with homeopathy or homeopathy, the remedies?
I've used homeopathy a lot for about 30 years, probably. I've seen a homeopath a lot. My dentist at the moment is actually a homeopathic dentist, and she teaches homeopathic dentistry. So really grateful with her. So lots of my friends and family now, I point them in her direction. So, you know, they're using body friendly products, which is really great. And, you know, for any dental work, she uses homeopathy, and she's now got a, what do we call those things? Sorry, I've lost my words for what it's called. A biofeedback resonance machine. And now she puts all of her clients on that, and as well as doing the dentistry, she gives them a homeopathic remedy. My real insight into seeing it work was when what was I doing? I was working on a project, and I became really ill with something, and of course I had no idea what it was. So my mum's like, I'm going to phone the homeopath. The homeopath came. She said that I had blood poisoning. I mean, I was really ill. All my gums had swollen up. It was all pussy, and I mean, the smell was awful. And she came, gave me homeopathy, went away, came back a few days later, gave me another remedy, and within 5 days it was gone, and I was absolutely back to normal. And yeah, a few occasions, stories like that for me where I've been really ill. I don't go to the doctors. I just call a homeopath. And, you know, if I'm feeling a little bit of anything at home, like if I think, oh, there's a little bit of a cold germ, or there's a little bit of a flu germ I can feel, I take a homeopathic remedy. The next day, the symptoms have changed, so I take a different remedy. Then by that night, the remedy's changed again, so I take a different remedy. 2 or 3 days, it's, you know, nothing's really come of it, and it's gone. So splinters, silica, brilliant for pushing splinters out. So yeah, homeopathics for me, amazing.
Yes, I remember silica being used to actually pull out a splinter with me as well once. But we would like to go back to you and speak to you about the homeopathic remedies for oral health, because that's a huge issue for most people. Can you tell us some of the specifics of the issues you had, the homeopathic remedies that you specifically tried, because everybody, of course, will be different, and what were the results?
Oh, so for me personally, I don't actually have much problems with my teeth anymore. I did years ago. But funnily enough, the fruitier I've become in my diet, the less teeth issues I had. I had terrible teeth as a child. They were always rotting and falling out. And of course, we had dentistry in the 1970s. So Pete and I both had terrible teeth. You know, we had terrible problems with our teeth. But since I found the homeopathic dentist, I really don't have many problems, and I can't actually say that I used one, but I can't remember what homeopathic remedy that was. So I'm sorry, Dorit, I can't actually answer that question.
That's okay. No problem. We would bring back Anne in here anyway. So Anne, would you like to say something about this?
Yes. A lot of people, their body cannot use calcium appropriately. And it's so interesting. Like, human ashes are 12 different minerals, like when you just break it down. And those are the most basic building blocks of human life. And those are also, all of those 12 minerals are made into homeopathic remedies, and they're called cell salts. And 3 of the cell salts are specifically of calcium, calcium fluoride, calcium phosphorus, calcium sulfate. When you take a homeopathic remedy and you need it, your body agrees, it teaches your body how to use that mineral in an appropriate, good way. For instance, a lot of people misuse calcium, and instead of putting calcium into their bones and into their teeth, They put it into their joints and soft tissues, and then they have arthritis. And so the calcium remedies can literally re-educate your body to use it the right way and put it into your teeth so that your teeth can start strengthening. And most people, unless you eat utter garbage, everyone already has some calcium in their diet. It's not that more is needed. I find that adding more calcium often just gives a person more to misuse, like supplementing calcium. So instead, you use homeopathic calc fluor, calcium fluoride, and calc phos, and it teaches your body how to use the remedies. And I personally teaches your body how to use the minerals so that you don't have the tooth decay, and so that your bones are strong and not brittle and not just waiting for some little impact to fall apart. And I had a bone spur in the ball of my right foot, not diagnosed, but it felt like a bone spur. I could feel, it just felt like something was sticking out underneath there. And after researching, I decided I selected 2 remedies, Hecla lava and calc fluor, the calcium fluoride remedy. And those both often will help with bone spurs. And it was so effective that I could take the remedy and feel the pain was gone. And I had to do that a lot of times, but like I could feel it happening. It was so fast. It's not always that fast, but when it is, it's really exciting.
And I have also a question to ask you. For people who really want to try homeopathy, how can they find a homeopathic practitioner such as yourself? We have your information on the screen, of course, but let's say somebody wants to not just do it remote, and can it be done remotely as well? Because the muscle testing, can they do it themselves if they have the machine?
Yes, it works well. Muscle testing works well remotely because they're doing it themselves. They have their own hand dynamometer and their own remedies, and they're going to test the remedy holding it against their chest, and then squeeze the hand dynamometer and write down the number, and then put down the remedy and squeeze the hand dynamometer and write down the number. And so we alternate with, without, with, without, with, without, and a pattern emerges that either you keep getting stronger again when you pick it up and you need it, or you keep getting weaker when you pick it up and you don't need it. All homeopaths work remotely. I wouldn't feel like you needed to look for one that's local, because there's no need for that. Everyone works on Zoom, and there's really no need to be local.
And also, where can they find homeopathic practitioners? We know we're putting your information, of course, on the screen for people to find you. But let's say somebody is in Australia and would like to work with somebody who's local.
Mm-hmm. I suppose Google. I think, looking for Facebook groups, maybe homeopathy in Australia. I think I've found a lot of homeopaths through different Facebook groups.
And there's no association of internationally for homeopaths? Because I'm trying to remember how I found the one that I went to years ago.
I think there is, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Thanks. And people can actually contact you by the information that we've had up here. And this is, I think, your actual information, correct? The Wellness Compass is your company?
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
I work with people who want to heal themselves and are looking for permanent healing. I mean, doesn't everyone want that? But it takes a little bit of work and a little bit of commitment, not too much, but muscle testing every day for at least 5 minutes. And so that you can keep giving your body those consistent downloads of information on how to resolve those symptom groups. And with the muscle testing, the precision muscle testing, I find that I can work a lot faster than, say, a classical homeopath that only uses one remedy at a time, which makes sense because how do you know when to stop the remedy, or how do you know which remedy is doing what? And so with one at a time, there's no confusion. But with this muscle testing, it also takes away the confusion, because when you stop testing strong for a remedy, then you can stop the remedy. You don't need you. It creates clarity in a different way. So I can give my clients 10 different remedies, and the muscle testing will confirm what do they need right now and when to stop taking it, because it'll stop testing strong.
And do you, in your Facebook group, I know you give free classes in your Facebook group, but can people learn in your Facebook group how to use that muscle testing machine? And do you teach them how to do that there?
Yeah, there's a free course in the pinned post.
Could you speak about the Facebook group some more? Could you tell them exactly where to find you in Facebook, in that group? Or do they have to sending an application first?
No, just hit join. The group is called Precision Muscle Testing for Homeopathy and Beyond. And once you're in the group, you look for the pinned post. And the pinned post has a course. It takes about an hour. It has a series of videos and an Excel spreadsheet that you download. And the spreadsheet helps to do some math so that you don't have to, and give you a better answer that's more precise.
Thank you. So what I like about homeopathy, in opposition to mainstream media pharmaceutical products, is that you're not addicted to them for life. You don't have to stay with them all the time. There comes a point when it's done its work and you move on and you do other areas of your life that you need to put into some attention into. You can then do so. What for you was the starting point and what for you is the ending point, Anne?
The ending point of what?
When you know that it's worked and you don't need to continue taking the remedy anymore.
Well, when it stops testing strong, then I don't get to take it anymore. And one remedy might get you 100% of what you're trying to heal, or it may be multiple, it may be layers. So I find that, like, I might be able to start with a 200, and as I've had some healing, then the 200 will stop testing strong, and now the 30 is still strong. Because if you've had some healing, it makes sense that you wouldn't keep needing that stronger potency. And then the 30 will be strong for a few weeks, and then it won't. And then when it stops testing strong, I'll move down to an LM or a 6. And then when that one is done, then that's what you get. That's after a 6, mostly it's done what it's going to do. So maybe you've had complete healing or maybe partial. And so if it's only partial, then you look at the case again and match your current state with a remedy that makes sense, looking at all the parts of you. and then muscle test it to see if it's right or not.
And Anne, do you by any chance have a muscle testing machine with you there right now that you can show people in real time exactly what it looks like? And in the meantime, I'm going to bring Phil on. Phil, have you done any muscle testing using any equipment, or just, using maybe a magnet or a pendulum?
Yeah, I've done lots of muscle testing. I've used different kinesiologists with slightly different disciplines. I've also used dowsing rods because I'm actually a trained geomancer. So dowsing rods are a similar thing for you can test all sorts of things using dowsing rods or a pendulum. I've used a crystal, and I've used other different techniques, like you can use it so your body moves forwards or it moves backwards. So for different people, sometimes a forwards is a yes and a backwards is a no. You can stand dead straight, upright with your feet together, and you can pull down on someone's arm. And if they're strong, you can hang off their arm, and if they're weak, they'll just tipple over. So yeah, I've used a lot of kinesiology on myself and other people for testing.
Thanks so much for that. And Pete, have you used any kinesiology to test yourself or your children or others?
No, to be honest, in the early days, I played around with dowsing, with a pendulum, should I say, and had lots of amazing results with that. And with the Jin Shin, we learned, let's just say, sort of pulse testing. So you would have hook your hands around just on the pulses of people, and you would learn you'd learn the signature that what the body is saying, in terms of different fingers will give different signals, in terms of different kind of feeling, different reading. You can pinpoint certain organs that aren't really flowing very well, and that's how we get to diagnose what organ flow we may need for the person, or if it's not a strong pulse, we may do what they call a number one flow, just to kind of get the body going, and then come back in and do another pulse reading to get a more clarity on the reading. That's mostly what I've done, really, and that's been over the last 18 years. And and you're always learning, and you can surprise yourself thinking you know exactly what it was, and then might do a flow and you've got a whole nother different reading, and that could be many reasons. Maybe you've just cleared a part of the blockages, let's just say, or the block. And as Anne was saying, it's many layers, and within one session of an hour and a half, you can realize, oh, that's moved that. We're moving, you could say, moving on to another tablet, but another flow, to get another area in the body that needs attention and needs moving. So maybe we've moved one block out of the way, so now for the next one, kind of thing. So that's the main one I've done and used over the years, really. And that's pulse reading.
Thank you for that. I'm going to bring Anne back in now. And before we do that, could you please unmute yourself? Because I did mute you when you walked away. So unmute yourself, please. And then show us this muscle testing, because I think it's really important for people. Thank you. Then could you explain a little bit?
It is so basic. So this button on the right turns it on, and you let it go to 0 and do some, I can tell you a little bit about my method, but the simple part is you just squeeze it and look at the number and write it down. Now, I find that you really need to do some warm-up squeezes because when your body is going to get stronger with each squeeze until you're at peak strength, and then it will start decreasing due to fatigue. So you want to warm up until your hand is at peak. So 279, 270, 271, 259. Like now I would be ready to start. And due to getting slightly weaker each time, now that I've already hit peak strength, we can compensate for the fatigue bias through some simple math in the Excel spreadsheet.
So your counting work actually paid off in the end too with this.
I guess so.
So I'm going to actually speak right now about something that I think is really important to know. And that is it different homeopathy? When you, for example, you're going to take a remedy like this for tooth and gums. And would be different for male and female because it depends on the time of month that the female is testing?
I don't find time of month to make a big difference in remedies unless they're relating to something that's happening around the cycle. Like maybe your mood might be worse at a certain point, in which certain, like maybe Ignatia would be useful because you're getting kind of irritable and kind of anxious. Or if you're in a heavy bleeding phase, maybe Sabina would be helping that to balance and not be too much. But as far as just the remedies that a person generally needs, I don't see it shifting a lot through the month. And I don't think that men versus women makes a big difference. It's more about the individual and their vitality.
And what about full moons?
A lot of people observe that parasitic activity is bigger during the full moon, and that it's a good time to treat parasites during the full moon, and that you might be having more symptoms during a full moon. So I keep an alarm on my phone to test parasite remedies and take them if needed at that time of the month. And other people might find that their kids are a little crazier during a full moon, and that they might need some more stramonium or some nux vomica or whatever they need. It might be just a little more aggravated at that time. And so, like, I had insomnia recently for about a week, and it was very stressful on my body. And I found that I was needing stronger potencies of everything because of that stress was amplifying everything. But I'll tell you a little story about how I resolved that. I finally realized it just wasn't going to go away on its own. It had been like 5 or 6 nights, and like, okay, I've got to actually sit and think. And I started with Coffea. Coffea is the #1 insomnia remedy. And I tested 30 and 200. And I was very surprised 200 was strong. Well, I haven't been strong for that in a long time. So I took Coffea, and then I switched to chamomilla, made from chamomile. Chamomile is calming, and the remedy can also help with calming and sleep and cortisol. I tested multiple remedies or potencies of chamomilla and found that I was strong for chamomilla LM. And then I switched to passion flower, which is also calming herb. And I was not strong in any potency for that. And then I tried a Venus sativa, and that one was not strong. and I think Callie Foss was. So I worked through a series of remedies that all can help with insomnia, found the individualized potency that I needed at that time, and took multiple remedies that all did different aspects of insomnia. And that night I got 8 hours and I was feeling so much better.
You see, this is why I thank you for that. And that I don't think, and I don't understand how medical doctors can prescribe anything without doing muscle testing or taking the pulse. And the pulse was always the first thing that the doctor would do. And I very rarely see that happening anymore. And a lot of been given over to AI. And I'm going to come to Phil, because Phil, I want to come back to the oral health and the fact that the dentist that you're telling us about. Have you found that this dentist have been able to help people who've been to traditional dentists and not received any results whatsoever? If you let us know.
Can you repeat that question for me, please, Tariq?
Yes. Have you found the homeopathic dentist that you went to, that they were able to help people in ways that if the person had done traditional dentistry practices, that they were now able to really address the issue with homeopathic remedies at the homeopathic dentists rather than the regular dentist?
Yeah, I hear the question. I'm just trying to think with the people that I've known that have gone to see the dentist. I think one of the things that definitely comes to mind is when anyone's had dental work done, she's been able to give remedies to support the dental work, and that has definitely helped people to, like with teeth extractions. She doesn't use painkillers. She uses, I think the remedy was called Tremidol. I think it's called, and it's a specific formula that she uses for the trauma and the pain after tooth extraction, and never painkillers. So from that point of view, from dealing with extractions and general dentistry, she's able to support with aftercare. So there just isn't the suffering, and that's one thing that I definitely know. Other things, like, I can't answer that any deeper because I don't know, but I know for definite, after a filling or after a tooth extraction or something like that, then she definitely gives remedies, and the resolve is much quicker.
And also, do you find that she does muscle testing as well?
No, she doesn't do muscle testing, but I have to admit I haven't been on her machine to find out what goes on. But actually, what's just come to mind now, when I had a conversation with her at the beginning of the year, she said that now she can do biocompatible fillings and things by using her new machine, and she can formulate the filling so the body doesn't react to the filling.
That's extraordinary. And I'm sure that Pete, who had so much mercury, thank you so much for that, Phil, would have appreciated having her in his life at the time. Pete, we're going to be doing, I told you, we're going to be doing an entire episode on oral health. But just very quickly for 1 minute, could you just give us a wrap up? When you had the mercury extracted, do you also go to a homeopathic physician to assist you after that, or with that as well?
Well, strangely enough, it was Phil who put me onto the dentist, and this was, say, about 12 years ago. So he had a whole program. I didn't do that whole program because I was doing some of my own detoxes, and some of the other part of the program did work out a bit expensive to what I had at the time. So it's so important. It is so important, really, to be honest. Even when you have a tooth pulled, the effect on the energy body, on our bodies, but we just crack on with life and think we can get on, and how I would always do in the past, really. And, still have that bit of habit now, not actually allowing the body to readjust and rest. So he was good. We had he had different machines to test the compatibility in terms of what he was putting in terms of the composites. So yeah, he was good. I mean, it's a bit of whether they're misled or whatever, it felt just a bit of a racket in terms of the dentists sort of maybe aren't serving our best interests. And then some do, but it can be very, very expensive in the end. However, I was doing a lot of my own practices. There's lots of chlorella, spirulina, coriander, clay, lots of things that will help pull out any heavy metals. And yeah, in relation to the dentist, by the time I was 16, I had 18 composite mercury fillings in my mouth. So, and I had them for another 27 years. So it was, when I look back, horrific, really. So it was really good to come across that dentist. My teeth, I got a bit fed up in the end. So I just leave mine to do their thing now. And I do still have problems if I am overindulging in certain foods, potentially more dates in this country. So it just makes me more vigilant, more aware, and not taking things for granted, which puts me more on the living foods, fruits as well. So, but even within the so-called raw world, you can still be a bit junky in the raw world, and indulge in what aren't really living fruits,
Thank you for that. Thank you so much. I'm going to go back to Anne to finish up. We're going to finish with you, Anne. Would you recommend cell salts without muscle testing, or do you think they all must be muscle tested before somebody just goes and buys some cell salts, or does one need to really go to a homeopathic practitioner and have them recommend or not?
Well, you can definitely DIY, but there's always a risk of overdoing it without muscle testing. And so I feel like it's safer. It keeps you from overdoing it. And I think starting with cell salts is fabulous, because a lot of us can't absorb the nutrients that are available to us. And then you're building on a foundation that is weak. So I think that that homeopathy is the most profound that I've found of all the health modalities, because it teaches your body to heal things that it can't just pure heal on its own. And it's not being suppressed or elevated or pushed or pulled. It's just being balanced. And I would encourage everyone to look into homeopathy and into muscle testing. I think they work really well together.
Thank you so much for that. I want to thank Phil and Pete, and of course, our special guest, Anne, today, for showing up. And please send this to other people. Share this with other people. There's so many people suffering who need to know about Anne's work and also our work here. So please send this to as many people as possible to help them out. And also, you've got the information how to contact Anne if you need to, and join her Facebook group free of charge. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week, same time.